Okay, hello, and welcome to this eSchool News webinar, How Active Learning Environments Help Students Engage in Content. My name is Kevin Hogan. I am the editor-at-large for eSchool, and I'm excited to have you join us for what should be a very informative session. Today's event is brought to you by Epson. Epson's award-winning education solutions are designed to empower teachers to rise above digital distractions and deliver interactive, creative, and laser-focused learning environments with super flexible, low maintenance, and budget-conscious technology. Specifically designed with educators in mind, Epson laser displays deliver big, bright, immersive learning experiences to captivate, engage, and inspire every student in the room without compromising whiteboard space. Epson's high-definition document cameras offer affordability and exceptional feature sets with brilliant image quality and advanced zoom capabilities for added engagement. Epson's innovative presentation display and projector technologies make bright, collaborative learning environments a reality. With me today, a great group of panelists, I think that will shed some really interesting insights. First, Mark Hess. Mark is currently the principal at Mary Helen Guest Elementary School. He has served in a variety of roles since he was hired by the district in 1993, including Executive Director of Instruction, Technology and Assessment, Director of Technology and Data Analysis, Middle School Principal, Assistant Principal, Middle School Teacher, and Elementary Teacher. Mark is passionate about student learning and engagement through instructional innovation and remains steadfast in the belief that all children can be successful. Also with me today, Chad Lewis. Chad has been the Director of Technology at Tampa Prep School in Tampa, Florida since August of 2010. He oversees all facets of technology at school, from network infrastructure and security to ed tech and training. He was also responsible for the school's one-to-one iPad initiative. He designed and supervised the implementation of Tampa Prep's active learning environment classroom design. He also created something called the IDEA, Innovate, Design, Explore, and Apply Lab, which was one of the first secondary VR creation labs in the nation. In 2016, Chad won the Tampa Bay Business Journal's Nonprofit CIO of the Year Award and Tampa Bay Technology Forum's Industry Achievement Award for Technologist of the Year. And last but certainly not least, Remi Del Mar. Remi has over 10 years experience in the realm of global product marketing across hardware, software, mobile, and the Internet of Things. She spearheads Epson's vision of merging virtual and physical environments through projection and augmented reality. She continues to educate end users on the endless capabilities of creating immersive environments and promoting the ability to break perceptions of what is and to what can be. So before we go into our conversation, I'd like to take a minute to go over some of the features of the platform that we're using for this webinar. Today's event will be recorded, so you don't have to worry about missing a thing. Within a few days, you'll receive an email message that contains a link to the recorded webinar, along with the PDF of the slides. You can submit questions at any time during the presentation by clicking on the Q&A box. There will be a time at the end of the presentations for speakers to address your questions, so I highly encourage you to drop those in as we go along. There's also a chat function that you can launch by clicking on chat. Feel free to use this to contact someone if you're having a technical question, but don't use that for questions for the speakers. Other options, we have closed caption available by clicking on the CC tab. So, and again, before we get too deep in the conversation, we wanted to ask our audience members a few questions to get an idea of where they are in their own active learning classroom journey. So poll question number 1. Right now, what is your district's biggest concern for this school year? Not counting COVID, obviously. We're going right in here to the different aspects of technology. Is it an internet connectivity issue, student devices, unfinished learning, which that probably goes along with the ever-present pandemic issues, and then finally student collaboration and engagement. We'll give you a few seconds to answer that, and we'll see where everyone is when it comes to their district's concerns. Okay, so yep, it seems everyone is not too worried about devices, but student collaboration, engagement, and unfinished learning take up the vast majority of concerns there. So thank you for that. Poll question number 2. This is a little bit more of a individual focused question as opposed to a district concern. Which will hopefully pop up in a second. Well, it seems like we might be having some issues with the polling tool. So instead of those, maybe we'll get to those poll questions a little bit later, but maybe at this point, we can kind of dig in with our panelists. Remi, maybe I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Kevin, and welcome everyone to today's webinar. As some of you may already be aware, at the beginning of the pandemic, we started hosting webinars to connect thought creators, leaders in the education space, pathfinders and the warriors, to share their thoughts and learnings with our larger audience. So I hope that you find the information shared today helpful. As the new school year begins, many are wondering how to engage students in learning, and also based on our poll question. So for some schools, that engagement is coming through active learning environments. Active learning classrooms are great for using technology to engage students. And I'm here with Mark Hess, principal of Mary Helen Elementary School in Waldeck, Michigan, the school that spent this past summer transforming classrooms into active learning environments. And also Chad Lewis, Director of Technology for Tampa Prep in Tampa, Florida, a school that's been utilizing creative learning environments since 2013. They're going to share how they chose what went into their classrooms and why, and the best way schools can utilize these classrooms once they're open. So we look forward to hearing your thoughts and experience. Mark, Chad, thanks for being here. And hi again. To start off, I have a question for both of you. Maybe Mark, we'll start with you. Could you provide an overview of your school?
Sure. So Mary Helen Guest Elementary, we're part of the Walled Lake Consolidated School District. We're in Michigan, about 40 miles northwest of Detroit. We're a suburban school district, 19 schools, just over 14,000 students. We have 12 elementary schools, and 4 middle schools, and 3 comprehensive high schools. The particular school that I'm at, Guest Elementary, is a Title I school. Approximately 40% of our students receive free and reduced lunch. I have a student population of about 350 and a seasoned staff that is innovative and hands-on and student-centered. It's great to be here. It's a wonderful community, and we have the best kids who are eager to learn every day.
Thank you, Mark. Chad?
Hi, Chad Lewis, Director of Technology, Tampa Prep. Actually, Tampa Preparatory School is the full name. We were formed in 1974. We're located in downtown Tampa. And we've got about 720 kids now. Our highest enrollment ever. Our enrollment has been going through the roof, and past 2 years especially, grades 6 through 12. So we are only middle school, high school. And we're what I term as a mandatory BYOD, meaning we're an iPad one-to-one school, but it's yours, it's student owned. And that was a decision because we wanted students to really take ownership of learning and become accustomed to managing their own digital world. And we didn't want to kind of be police in that world. And we've been that way for 10 years, roughly 10 years of iPad one-to-one. Yeah, it's a great place to work. We, like you said earlier, built the active learning environment concept about 2013. So a number of years on in that world, and it's really paid off, not only in the traditional schoolroom environment, but in the hybrid world of COVID and everything else. It really has not had to change much.
Thank you, Chad. Mark, is your school also, does it have elementary, or is it just middle and high?
Yeah, great question. Elementary, kindergarten through 5th grade. And
Great.
with that, we do have preschool here as well.
Great, thank you. That's a good mix of different things that you're doing. Another question for both of you. How did you come to the decision to create active learning environments? What was the instigator or the pivot point to push you that direction? Chad, maybe we'll start with you.
Sure. So a couple of years into the iPad one-to-one initiative, we started to see a change in pedagogy and the way kind of teachers were teaching. We saw them more interactivity with the students, less sage on the stage, lecturing, and more bringing the students into their learnings. But we also realized that the environment was holding us back, as in most schools at the time, and unfortunately sometimes nowadays as well. It was traditional classroom environment with road seating, students at the back of the room, students at the front, very teacher-centric, and we wanted to move to a more student-centric collaborative environment, and which meant we needed to change that physical the physical outlay. And so that was it. And when we went about it, we did something a little different. We actually surveyed not only teachers and gave them questions about what they thought what good active learning environment would look like. And we said, don't talk about technology, don't talk about things, talk about words like, and they came back with words like flexible, interactive, comfortable, all these different engagement, equity in the classroom, and all these interesting phrases that really helped us design the room. And also we did the same thing with the students. We asked the students what they would like to see in the classroom and how they would like to see it. So it's been really transformative for our school. And we haven't had to pivot too much in the years of COVID either. Is
there a plan to run a new survey since the pandemic has changed maybe some of the directions with technology introductions into classrooms? Or
not formally, that would be interesting. I mean, I guess because we don't see, like I said, we haven't really seen a need to, I hate to say it, address it, because it's been so effective and, and flexible that, everybody seems happy with it still. But there's always room for improvement, sure. But we haven't decided on that.
No, I was just curious. Thank you for that. Mark, how about you?
Yeah, sure. Good question. I think one of the misnomers is when we talk about collaborative learning spaces, people often gravitate first to the physical environment of the classroom, the furniture, the technology. But really the most important part of the engagement process and the most important part of that classroom is what is that learning environment that teacher is setting. We were fortunate this summer to get new furniture, flexible seating, mobile, interactive, furniture that can be easily adapted to different learning environments, small groups, large groups, one-on-one. But learning engagement, having those collaborative spaces can certainly happen in a classroom with traditional furniture. We have, for years, teachers have been, really good teachers have been engaging in creating those collaborative spaces. Certainly the advances in technology and the advances in furniture design really can help substantiate those conditions. And what we were able to do this summer through a pretty significant, a $300 million community-wide bond is outfit all of our classrooms, 800 and some classrooms in our district, with brand new flexible seating and mobile furniture. Everything's on wheels, adjustable height tables and chairs and desks and things like that, that creates those conditions where the content, students can interact with the content. As Chad mentioned, learning doesn't have to take place with traditional tables and desks and rows. So it's an ongoing process. But the first thing is the mindset. Chad mentioned the words, the verbs, interactivity, engagement. That's where we started, is what do we want to accomplish in the classroom? What do our parents want to see? What do our students, want to feel, and our teachers? And we took that feedback. We went out to our community, we did surveys, we had parent focus groups, student focus groups, teacher focus groups. And we took those verbs, right? That interactivity, that collaboration, that collaborative type interactive, environment. And from there, we design our technology, our furniture, the physical conditions. But we started first is like, what are we trying to accomplish? What is our why? And, it didn't take long to realize is that parents and students and staff, we're all on the same page. We want to take this content, we want to take curriculum and really make it come alive. We want our teachers and our students to really interact with that content, engage in the content, create higher order type thinking in the classroom, and really define a learning environment that goes beyond a traditional 3 to 4, or from 8 to 4 walls, and create a learning environment that is ongoing and interactive and collaborative. And so it's been great.
Thank you. I love that both of you talked about doing research, and that you looked at the deeper why, and your decisions were based on what students and teachers and parents needed from these learning environments. So Mark, to expand, since your refresh is from this last summer and you worked there, maybe you can talk about what technologies you put into that active learning environment, how you made these spaces work, and maybe briefly walk us through sort of the end-to-end flow of those spaces. What happens between a teacher and a student in those spaces?
Sure. Yep. Good question. I think we had our technology in place for a few years now. All of our learning spaces, not just classrooms, but our rooms like reading recovery, our ESL rooms, our learning commons, which like media centers, all of our learning spaces have the Epson short throw interactive touch enabled projectors, the high definition document cameras. We ran new cabling throughout, category or Cat6 cabling, HDMI, really tried to outfit a strong network, upgrading our servers, wireless access points in every classroom. And it's not just one school, but all 19 schools, 800 and some learning spaces, classrooms. And most importantly, I think, or just as important, is what is the content that we're putting out there? It's, the projector is not there just to be the new modern day, overhead projector, but we want students and teachers not just broadcasting the content, but actually immersing themselves in that content, interacting with the content. So it's very common to walk into classrooms and the students are up at the whiteboard, the projector, using the touch enabled activity to engage with that content, whether it's, for example, I was in a kindergarten classroom this morning and they were working on sorting and ordering shapes and sequencing of scenes. And the students were up there in partners, taking their fingers and touching these little scenes. It was about getting up in the morning, getting dressed, brushing your teeth, eating breakfast, and they had to put things in order. And they were moving the little boxes, the scene, right on the whiteboard. So that's how our teachers engage and how we use the technology, not just to broadcast content, but for students to be alive with it and interact and have that dialogue amongst themselves, checking for understanding, or if they do make a mistake, are they self-correcting, and what is that process? As far as the furniture goes, we have soft seating, we have adjustable height seating, we have one of the highlights is what our kids call the wobble stools. They're the stools that enable for our kids that are active, moving around, that we have those wobble stools. I think too, it also allows the teacher to flow throughout the classroom, whereas in a traditional classroom of tables or rows, chairs, now our teachers are able to design and utilize more of the square footage of the classroom and have different learning paths or learning spaces, and the teacher can flow And we also, because our projectors are wireless, our teachers are able to take, whether it be their tablet, their iPad, or their laptop, and project wirelessly, so they don't have to be tethered to, like, let's say, a teacher's desk or a particular teaching station. For me, the biggest aha, or when I walk into a classroom, I see the focus is on learning and discovery, and less on just the teacher delivering content and the students being the recipients of that content. I just see more of an active flow, active learning, more sharing of information, student collaboration. And I also see the teachers feeling more at ease. I think they're feeling more comfortable. I think they're allowing themselves to be an active part of that learning environment, rather than having that feeling that I have to be up in front of the board, writing all the information down. Students and teachers are much more active in that exchange.
Thank you, Mark. I may have some follow-up questions in
Sure.
terms of the tools that teachers use, but I want to also ask Chad, you've created those classrooms a while back. Can you also elaborate on what technologies you've incorporated for for that age group? Sorry, I lost my train of thoughts. Yeah.
So for both the middle school and high school, it's the same same design. So we have roughly 100 Epson Breitling projectors and 100 Apple TVs, and every room has a voice amplification system by a company called Lightspeed Technologies. It's called the Red Cat. It's a lapel mic. And every room also has a touch panel by a company called FSR. And so all the rooms have that, in addition to wall talker surrounds on all the wall. So the walls are all a dry erase material that's also able to be reflected on. And that was part of the design too, was we wanted every space to be usable and transformable at all times. We didn't want to see, as much as some people initially loved their hang in there cat, on posters and stuff. We realized that after the first day of school, that is wasted space. And so we wanted every space to be able to be either projected or written onto. So a lot of glass as well. We have shatterproof glass on one wall as well that can also be written on. What's the biggest benefit to me, or the thing I love to every day to walk around this school, is I can walk by the same classroom 2 or 3 times in one class period and can see a completely different arrangement of what's going on. I'll see the first period, the teachers lecturing, whether it's from the quote unquote front of the room or from the middle of the room, because like Mark says, we're all about wireless presentation. They generally will use their iPads to present, or they can use their MacBooks. But the same period, 10 minutes later, I walk by and there's a group of kids at one projector and another group of kids at another projector, and the teacher walking around, and the kids are presenting from their iPads wirelessly to the projector and collaborating and doing group work. And then I'll walk by one period and there's 2 kids facing one projector and the rest of the kids facing another one. And the reason we can do that, we have a distribution amp, a very low cost device in the ceiling that allows the same image to be broadcast into all the surfaces. So there is no front or back of the classroom, literally. When you look at the classroom, you can't tell, well, this is where the teacher goes, this is where the students go. It's all one learning space. And that goes back to the whole concept of, we wanted the equity of the classroom. We wanted students to be able to wirelessly present just as easily as the teacher. And you can see that and take place in like Harkness discussions. Students will be talking about some concept and they want to back it up with something they saw on the internet. Boom, in 3 seconds, they can present whatever they want to show onto one of the projectors. So that's been huge. The FSR, the reason we have this touch panel is, if we didn't have a touch panel with all of these 3 presentation areas and 2 Apple TVs per classroom, that's 5 remotes we would have per teacher. We didn't want that. We didn't want to have people saying, where's the battery? Is that HDMI 1 or 2? We wanted to get away with all that. So when you go in the class, it says teacher image on, student image on, Apple TV. You know, we can choose, you can choose what you want to show from that. So what's nice is when we have a substitute teacher, people freak out. They're like, oh, it's an active learning school. I've got this huge learning overhead. No, you just read what it says, you touch stuff and you go. There's no learning curve. If you can use AirPlay to present, that's all you need to know. Now, that being said, we provide as much opportunity for different ways of doing things as possible. We're big believers in teachers having a lot of autonomy to what they want to do. So we have a lot of teachers who use Apple Classroom. We have a lot who use AirPlay all the time, but we have a number that also use the Epson projection app, which is wonderful. And the differentiator there is it's another projection app, but unlike the Apple TV, you can have multiple students' desktops or iPad screens showing at the same time live. So what's great about that, if you want to do comparative work between students, you can say, oh, Susie, let's look at what you have. Okay, Johnny, this is what you have. Let's work on that together. They're doing math together. It's amazing. So that type of flexibility really shows itself every day.
Thanks, Chad. So you've been doing this since 2013. Were there particular challenges? I know you and I, before, we've also talked about your incorporation of VR, and so you continuously introduce technology and different ways of engaging students with content. Were there particular challenges that you had to overcome at the beginning? Any lessons that you want to share with our audience as they consider sort of maybe creating more of that ideation, fluid space in their schools?
I would say to definitely query and get input from the people that use the environment, the students and the teachers, get their ideas. If your teachers aren't open to changing or potentially changing the way they've been teaching for a number of years, it'll be a problem. Our teachers are very open to learning, they're lifelong learners, so that was not an issue. We really haven't had to change anything. In fact, we additionally did the middle school, and then roughly 2 years later, we did the upper school. We had the same design for both because the middle school was so effective. We haven't really had to change anything, and I don't have any regrets about what we've done. In addition to the Red Cat microphones, people, well, why is that important? Well, because A, these active learning environments can get loud, you're active, but B, we've seen a lot of payoff with hybrid learning. So when we had kids at home interacting with students in the school at the same time, we knew we had to have that teacher's voice be crystal clear. It couldn't be muffled. It couldn't be absorbed by the whiteboard or they're walking around. No matter where that teacher was in the classroom, they could be having that line in audio quality to their computer and out to Zoom. So some of our teachers even went so far as to start doing a lot more podcasting and recording of lectures. So they'll take their MacBook and they'll plug that into the Epson projector, and they'll use the easy interactive tools, which is the whiteboard functionality. And so whatever they write on the board is captured through Zoom, so that kids are seeing what they're writing, and their voice is captured with that really crystal clear audio. And then they just click QuickTime Pro records, the screen and the audio, and they have a nice recording of that lecture or whatever they want to do.
Cool. So not necessarily a video of the teacher, but recording of the lesson accompanied by their voice.
Yeah, and some do the camera recording more of a traditional, but some teachers like me, I don't have a great bad hair or a good hair day very often, so I don't want to be on the screen.
Yeah.
I just want what I'm trying to convey to be given to the students, which is my voice and what I want to show. I don't want them to have to look at me.
Good. Thank you so much. Mark, your renovation is fresh. Did you run into any particular challenges? I know you talked about an infrastructure that enables future wireless sharing and being untethered, but anything that's top of mind for you that you can share with our audience, that would be great.
Sure. I think some of our issues that we're having right now is just more of timing, supply issues, manufacturing, supply chain. We still have furniture. We still have some technology that is coming in. So we are about 80% complete with our renovations, but I think the pandemic is just casting a wider net on the shortage in workers. We had issues with contractors and employees, issues with furniture being on back order, the supply chain. But those are affecting, I think, every industry and every line of work, and so we're adapting. We also provided time for our teachers that, whether it's technology or new classroom furniture, a new curriculum, a new reading series, teachers need time. Teachers need time to collaborate with each other, to discuss, to experiment, to take risks. Just presenting a teacher with new technology or new furniture isn't automatically going to increase their level of collaboration. They need time to work with each other and to collaborate, look at the curriculum, talk to their students. We started the year with all of our teachers having class meetings and laying down those expectations for the new furniture. Of course, it's nice. The kids were excited. Everything's shiny and brand new. New carpet and fresh paint, new lighting, seeing the new furniture. But we just involved the kids from the get-go. Class meetings, allowing teachers to set those conditions with the students. I think it's important for districts that are planning on whether it's a classroom refresh, whether it be technology or furniture, involve the students. Like what Chad mentioned, what we did is focus on what are you trying to accomplish? What are those verbs? What makes an active learning classroom? Define that first before you start thinking about product. I think mistakes that people make is they want to go out and get product first, bring that product in, and then have those conversations about how you can use it. Before we even went out and started looking at designs or manufacturers or different styles of seating or tables, we identified, well, what are we trying to accomplish? What does an active learning classroom look like? What does engagement look like? What does it sound like? What do you want when we were, if a principal or a colleague were to walk into a classroom, what might we see? What might we hear? Start with the why, start with that, then you can build around it from there. But we're still about 20% from being complete. We have contractors in our building in the evening and on weekends, but everyone's making the best of it, and it's really been wonderful. Our school was literally stripped down to the bare bones this summer in June, down to the cinder block, and everything built back up. So it's been a whirlwind, but it's been a learning process for us, and we've documented the whole. We took pictures and videos for our students so they could see what all goes into having an elementary school being completely remodeled. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for that. Did you have to create any particular types of training for teachers for this new environment, if it's related to technology? Maybe Mark, you can continue since yours is more
Sure.
new. And
yeah, we invited teachers in. Unfortunately, what we had originally planned on, we couldn't do, only because really the teachers, we could not take occupancy of our building until the day before school started. That's just because of, with construction, and if anyone has gone through, let's say, remodeling of a kitchen at home or a bathroom or an addition, nothing ever goes quite as planned and on schedule. And so originally we were going to be in the building about a week before school started, but literally we didn't, get the go ahead from the fire marshal and all the different inspectors that as adults, we stepped foot into this school 24 hours before we opened our doors for students. So we had very little turnaround time. But we did at our first, we had a professional development half a day in September, earlier this month, where we provided opportunities for our teachers just to catch their breath, to meet, to work with colleagues and grade level teams about what was working, what wasn't working. We got feedback from our students about what they liked, what they didn't like, how we can improve. So we're just looking at that data now. But, the feedback early on from our teachers is the words that I'm hearing are there's more flexibility. It's easier for small groups to get together, utilizing more floor space than before. Kind of like what Chad said, there's really no front of the classroom. You walk into a room and, you might not necessarily see a teacher's desk in a traditional spot. The teacher's home base now could be in different parts of the classroom. And Chad mentioned earlier a good point. What I see at 10 in the morning and going back at 2 in the afternoon to the same classroom might be a totally different look and feel. Maybe the teacher was doing some whole group instruction in the morning. By the afternoon, the students are working in cooperative groups, and the physical layout of the room has just changed in a matter of minutes. The kids are moving furniture and the tables, and maybe there's a lot, they created more floor space because the teacher wanted all the kids on the floor. And so that's what I'm noticing as the principal is the furniture is not stagnant anymore. It's very flexible and mobile, and depending on the learning activity and the objectives of the teacher, that furniture is changing throughout the day. That's been one of my biggest takeaways so far.
Thank you for that. So Chad and Mark, question for both of you. We'll start with you, Chad. So it's been a year of being away. Are there particular considerations with regards to full-time back to school in light of the pandemic? You mentioned that the one-to-one devices has been big in your area forever, but are there particular things that you are considering for this season related to pandemic considerations?
No, I mean, we're kind of just continuing with what we actually came back last spring. And so we were able to flip very quickly when the pandemic started, which again, that whole active learning environment concept really panned out well. We didn't have to, the only other thing we bought was, we did buy a few more of these OWL conference cameras, OWL, and they allow kind of like a 180 or I think actually 360, but a complete view of the classroom. So we have a few of those for primarily when it's more of like you have a kid that's remote and then you have them really wanting to get a feel of the classroom environment. We have a few of those that we put out. But other than that, really, we haven't had to do much capital outlay at all. When COVID hit, we didn't have to spend a lot of money because we already had the tools to do a hybrid mode or completely remote. We still do a lot of Zooming for bigger events and things like that. But yeah, we really, I hate to say it, but we haven't had to change. I'd love to say it actually. We haven't had to change or add that much. And the Epsons have been great. Having over 100 Epsons for a staff of a relatively small IT department, maintaining that many devices could be a real headache. But the total cost of ownership, not only financially, but personnel wise, has been very minimal. We've really gotten a lot of bang for our buck off of the Epsons. We're excited to have everybody back as well, because we started looking into new things with the Epson Light Scene, which is a really cool projector that doesn't look like a projector. It looks like a light in a more of a high-end light. And we've actually started doing things with 3D mapping on there where we have like the stairs come alive. We also have I think it's a 1485, the new 1485 projector. We have one of those in the hallway. And because it is a 10-foot wide image, we have a whole wall that has this great image on it. And then as our admissions team is showing a guest through, they can touch on like a map of the campus. And then when they touch the theater, a video comes up. So it's kind of a digital signage, but it's interactive, which is kind of neat, because traditional digital signage has been the same concept for many years, which is something that people look at. Well, now we have something people can engage with, and it's still a digital signage tool.
Well, thank you. I'm actually hearing that more and more from some of our education reps, where they kind of engage me in maybe some of the more of the public areas within the school, where they want to create engagement equally with their sort of shared spaces, not just the classrooms. So that's cool that you're already ahead of that. So you guys are both great speakers, and you're answering some of my questions way ahead of the game. So maybe just, I know, Mark, what I heard you say is that it's too early to have particular feedback about this new classrooms that you have basically created and worked on. But are there like particular highlights and lowlights that you'd like to share with regards to what you went through this summer and at the beginning of the school year?
Sure. Yeah, I think certainly the highlights outweigh any of the lowlights. I mean, the lowlights are just things maybe out of our control. The supply, the chain, the manufacturing, the installation. I think the highlights are our kids are feeling more comfortable. Just my interaction with the students and talking to them, and just what I see when I visit classrooms compared to previous years, as I see a comfort level with the students. When students go home and they're doing their homework or reading a book, they could be anywhere, right? They're not sitting at a desk in a hard chair at home necessarily. They could if they choose, but they could be on a couch, laying on the floor, in a beanbag, in their bed, at the kitchen table. That's kind of the environment we've created in the school now, right? With soft seating and adjustable height tables and chairs. We have lap desks. We have what we call the sushi tables, which are just tables that are just, this high off the ground, and the students kneel. That's what kids are used to. They're kneeling, they're sitting, they're laying down, they're leaning up against the wall. That's how they're learning at home. And that's how they're learning at school. We wanted to be the school, to be an extension and a partnership with the home, that learning can happen at any time, anywhere. Students, as far as the technology, really what we're doing is students look at screens. They could be tablets, they could be Chromebooks, they could be Macs or desktops, they could be the projector in the classroom. It's whatever the student feels comfortable with. And so I think the highlights that I'm seeing is that the kids feel more at ease, more comfortable. The engagement is great. The teacher feedback has been positive. But at the end of the day, what really motivates me are the kids having fun? Do they have smiles on their faces? Are they eager to come to school in the morning? And those are all the things that we're seeing. And I must underscore this. It's not just the physical furniture. There's the attitude that comes with it. It's the teachers, it's the staff, it's our, paraprofessionals, it's our secretaries, it's our custodian. It's everyone working together just to create this environment of it's safe, it's positive, it's motivating, it's inspirational, it's student-centered. Having the new furniture is great. And it certainly helps, drive this, but it's not the only thing that matters. It's attitude. It's, I can't say enough about the teachers and what they're doing to make sure that we're meeting the needs of, every child every day.
Mark, thank you. You were making me want to go back to school, but start at elementary. Chad, a question on, you mentioned the OWL camera, and I heard from both of you this sort of flexible, untethered, very fluid environments. How do you power those devices if they're not battery powered? So are they like charged up every night ahead of time, or just logistically?
So the devices that teachers use, so they all have an iPad and a MacBook. Obviously, they charge those as they take them home. They do whatever they want to bring them back. So they're charging that way. The Red Cat, Lightspeed Red Cat microphones have a charger. They put them in every evening or after school. They charge those over the evening. So those remain charged all day. They don't have to worry about remote controls because that's all taken care of with the Flex by FSR touch panel. The owls, of which we don't have that many, but we do have some that people check out. They do have to be plugged in, and we just give them a surge protector or a power strip, and they have.
So you basically run the cable to where
Yeah,
the camera
yeah.
needs to be.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in terms of cloud services or content services, are there particular things that, because of course all these devices are a means to provide access to content and keep students engaged. Are there particular ones that you want to highlight? Chad, maybe you could go first.
Well, one where we've really been liking a lot lately is the Adobe suite. So all of our students have access to the entire Adobe suite. That includes Photoshop, Premiere, et cetera, et cetera. What's great about that is we do have labs in the school, so kids can work on Premiere or Adobe. We also have video production curriculum lab. But what's nice about it, because it's clouded, they can work on a project at school. They go home, they log into that clouded instance, and they can work on their project from home. It's cross-platform, Mac or PC. So that's been really neat. I wish I had the name of it, but I don't remember what it is, unfortunately. We have a really great robotics and engineering instructor who has found a multitude of tools that are cloud-based for, he teaches Python and all these other things. So lots of everything. What's great is there's so many more clouded opportunities for people to learn regardless of the platform. So the death of, does it work on Mac? Does it work on PC? Does it work on iPad? I think those days are finally dying.
Yeah, thank you. And Mark, what about you? Any particular one you want to call out?
Yeah, good point, Chad. We're device agnostic now. If you have a device that can connect to the internet, it doesn't have to be a PC or a Mac, or an iPad, an Android. If you have a screen and you want to bring it and it can connect, I mean, we provide Chromebooks for all of our students, but we're also a BYOD district. Some of the key programs that ground our curriculum, the curriculum associates, iReady, the diagnostic, as well as the instructional modules. We all have Google Classrooms, so our teachers are posting on Google Classroom, and that, again, it's just cloud-based, so students can be anywhere and any device connecting with that content. We also use Safari Montage, which is a big part of our video distribution and content, and Everyday Math and Connected are a couple of the others that we rely heavily on for engagement and digital content.
Are your students, Mark, using any other devices for casting, or they don't have tablets, right? It's not a one-to-one.
Right. No, we have tablets available. We have Chromebooks. All of our classrooms have Chromebooks. Students can bring their own, but we do provide them for the students. And we also have, through our remodel, we just, and it's not open yet because all the equipment's not here, but we'll have a video production lab and a brand new STEM lab down in our Learning Commons. We transformed our traditional media center into what we call a Learning Commons with a STEM lab down there, a video production lab. That is scheduled to open beginning of November. So that will just be another layer of connectivity and content engagement that we'll be able to do with our elementary students.
And they won't let me deviate too far from the questions today, but I'd love to talk to you more about that, Mark. So I'll park that one. Okay, so we have a question for both of you in terms of your IT team. I think, Chad, you already talked about it, that you have a small IT team, but maybe you can talk a little bit about, how big is the team and how do you guys maintain all this new technology introduction?
So, like I said, we got about 720 students, and we have a team of myself, technology director, a network engineer, tech support specialist, who's kind of the hardware tech, as well as, kind of the fireman almost role, and a tech integration specialist who's our trainer and was a teacher, so understands teaching and all that goes involved in that. A database manager, data systems manager, who we just hired a new one past 2 years ago. That's going to be transformational. I could talk about that forever because he actually has a background in data science and statistics. So he's doing a lot with helping us leverage the data we have in our school. I think that's something that especially independent schools have not been doing well. And because of his ability to do things with R programming and other Python and other languages and API integrations and all that stuff, it's going to be great. And we have a person who teaches virtual reality development. So we teach Unity development for VR, and that's our Idea Lab, which stands for Innovate, Design, Explore, and Apply. We built that 4 years ago, I think. That was huge. That was another student-driven initiative. So one of the things about our mission of our school is we want students to, we want to provide the opportunity for them to pursue their passions. And one of the students, when we were first looking into VR, we had an Oculus Rift and we would put it in rooms and say, hey, check out the Roman Colosseums and all this stuff. And a student said, hey, Mr. Lewis, do you mind if I build an app for this VR device? And we were like, please, how do we help you? And it grew where this student started a club and he would teach other kids Unity. In the interim, our VR development instructor started studying Unity herself. So now we have a VR development curriculum and a space for that, which is our Idea Lab. And it's only about 6 VR devices, but it's really cool. And COVID put a cosh on that as well. Last year, of course, it was hard to get people in labs with head devices, but I think we're getting back to that now. The media specialist, who's the librarian or media specialist, is also in the IT department. So it's a 5-person department, of which 2 of the people primary roles are not IT.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, so we have a network administrator, we have 3 network technicians, a data applications processor who works on like our student information system. We also have a unique program in our district. We've had it for many years. It's our high-tech internship program with juniors and seniors in high school that we partner with at our local high school, where for high school credit, they receive two credits. They provide technology internship experience. So they provide a lot of the level 1 type tech support coming down to the elementary schools, helping us anything from changing print cartridges to rebooting servers to working with teachers and if there's some troubleshooting. What we have found is the number one problem solver is if you have an informed staff, that the teachers often need help like on the spot because they're ready to deliver a lesson, something happened tech wise. And the more training that we can provide our teachers, the more educated our teaching staff is, the better we are. Because if we create a condition where every time there's a tech issue, they have to submit a help desk ticket, the turnaround time on that maybe a day or 2. But if we can provide adequate training for our teachers to handle a lot and troubleshoot on their own, because a lot of times they need that real time, troubleshooting. And so we have spent a lot of time creating video tutorials and doing professional learning. We have what we call tech teacher leaders. Every school has a teacher who's called the tech teacher leader. They get a nominal stipend, and they're often the trainer in the building. They're kind of the guru. Just like we have department chairs in reading, department chairs in math, they're like a department chair for instructional technology, and that's been a big help for us as well.
Sorry, I see we have 6 minutes left. I have one question, Kevin, if time allows, which is more of a race. Thank you. A magic wand question. Mark, Chad, whoever wants to go first. If there was one technology wish list that you could make happen in the classroom to help students and teachers, what would it be? Or alternatively, you can say what's your latest favorite technology for classroom?
Well, for me, and I think I would speak on behalf of my teachers, is my teachers just want more time to learn, more time to work with the tools. It's a, you know, in education, it's very fast paced. We don't often provide adequate time for our teachers. It seems like we're always introducing something new to them, whether it be curriculum or technology or new procedures. I wish sometimes as a system, we would slow down a little bit and allow our teachers time just to really dig deeper into the tools that we have and become masters of those tools before we try to introduce anything new. I get it. We're constantly innovating, constantly moving forward. And I also recognize that there's a lot of state and federal mandates, but I also really understand that teachers sometimes just want to slow down and just have days where they can experiment, take risks, try new things. And that's often hard to do when you have 25 kids in a classroom. I wish as a system we would embed more of that training, more of that PD, where not necessarily we delivered new PD, but just give those teachers an opportunity to explore and learn and dig deeper in what they already have. But if I had a magic wand, I really want to explore more of the VR, you know, more of the immersive type technology, more of surround type projection. I love the interactive signage that Chad had mentioned. I think that's an emerging sector that schools will delve into. So it's exciting, that's for sure. Lots of new ideas.
Thank you. That answer made me very happy. Thank you, Mark. Chad, magic wand.
Well, I agree with what Mark said, but in addition, specifically for Tampa Prep, since we're a downtown school, space is a premium. Like we have a joke that we have a t-shirt that says Tampa Prep football undefeated since 1974 because we've never had a football team. We don't have space for a football field. So I would love some more physical space because, you know, I see things that we can do in VR, and granted, we do have the mobile Quest headsets, and that's great because they're mobile. We can they can move those to classrooms, but they're not quite as powerful as the ones that are tethered to a computer. So I would love to have more space for more dedicated lab space for different things. I would love to be able to leverage this app called HoloLabs Champion, which runs on the HTC Vive headset, and it's a chemistry lab in VR, and it's just like a real chemistry lab. It's amazing. It has virtual Bunsen burners, and when you measure compounds or whatever, it pours just like if you drop the can, it's going to break. You get a lab manual in VR. It's an immersive chemistry lab that's absolutely amazing, but you know, it requires space to have those more high-end HTC Vives, and we just don't have that much space to do that. So we're limited to like, you know, 6 or 8 students. It would be nice to have all 20 to be able to use that.
Oh, I like that. And no real explosions in that virtual chemistry lab. So
yeah.
All right, cool. So thank you both. It's the end of the questions I had for you. I really appreciate your time and your engagement. Love to talk to you both. I'm sure I will talk to you both more in future meetings. And I'll pass it back on to Kevin.
Yes, thanks, Remi. And I agree. A really great conversation. Lots of terrific ideas and insights. And as you said, I'm trying to figure out a way where I could get my kids to go to Tampa for school one week and then up to Michigan every other week, because it sounds like some really amazing stuff going on. So congratulations for that. I want to thank you for your time and for your insights. I think the audience really got a lot out of that. And you could tell by the questions that were asked there too, that they were engaged. I'd like to thank the audience for joining us today. As a reminder, you'll get an email within the next few days that contains a link to this recording along with the slides. Thanks again for participating and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.